Hi, I'm Dr. Lilach Saperstein. I'm really excited to be going live here with you today. And if you're clicking on the replay, then hello and thank you for clicking on this video. So today I wanted to hop on here and talk with all of you about creating a routine around the hearing aid. So if your child is new to hearing aids or they've had hearing aids for a while, then it can be overwhelming, and you can see that there are going to be challenges with implementing routines around using the hearing aid. So I have a couple of tips, and I also wanted to share with you the checklist that is a free printable. There's a link in the description, and you can find it on my website as well at allaboutaudiology.com. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about some tips and tricks of how to establish good routines around the hearing aid and go through the checklist and talk about different things that you need to do every morning and every evening with the hearing aids. So one of the things that's very helpful in establishing routines is the idea of anchoring, like putting an anchor together with something that you're already doing in the morning routine, and then together saying every time I do one thing, I'm going to now add on and tack on this second thing so it becomes part of the routine as well. So if you have an infant, every morning, one of the first things you're going to do is change their diaper. So maybe now it goes together on the changing table, the changing table, when you're changing their diaper and changing their clothes for the morning. Also, you put in their hearing aids. It just goes together. It's the first thing that goes on in the context of the morning routine. If your child is a little bit older, maybe it goes together with brushing their teeth, right? So they wake up, they stumble into the bathroom, they do whatever they need, they're brushing their teeth. You brush your teeth, it goes together. You put your toothbrush down, you pick your hearing aids up. You might not want it to be in the bathroom, but some kind of idea to put it together where one thing in the morning routine is attached to another thing in the morning routine. So that's one of the big tips that are very helpful to parents. And the second tip is to actually use a checklist and have something that, even for the first 2 weeks or, first however long until you get an established routine, to remember what it is you need to do. So on the checklist, you'll see, and also you can print it out. It's just a one-page printable and hang it on the wall, or you can laminate it, or you can put a magnet on the back and then hang it on the fridge, which is another idea. So right on the top, you'll see that it says caring for. Over here, you'll put your child's name, caring for Sarah's hearing aids, caring for Joey's hearing aids. That way, it's personal to you guys. And we'll talk about the morning side first. The first thing you'll want to do is close the battery door and have a fresh battery in there, or one that is still working. And when you close the door, that tells us that's how you turn the hearing aid on, so that it should be working. When you close the door, if you hold it up to your ear right away, you might hear the jingle, the startup jingle that is set on most hearing aids, so you'll know that it's on, it's working. And also you'll want to cup your hand kind of like this up to your ear, and then you should be hearing some squealing, some whistling, and that's a good quick listening check just to make sure that sound is actually coming out, that the battery is working. And in the beginning, definitely if your child is very young and not able to give us information if it's working or if they can hear anything, then it might be a good idea to do an actual listening check with a listening scope that you should have gotten when you got the hearing aids, just a little kind of like an earbud with a little tube that you can connect into the mold and listen, and you just hold it up to your ear, to your mouth, and say, good morning, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, ba, 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 whatever you want to say to make sure that you're hearing, and then you can hear it amplified through that tube. So that's, 2 ways of doing the listening check, either just really informally and making sure sound is coming out, or to actually make sure that there's, that it sounds good and crisp and clean and there isn't any kind of distortion or any of those things. But, you can do that as needed or more often in the beginning. So then you'll want to place them in your child's ear. And this can be a challenge. They might not like it very much. They might be all squirmy, wormy. But, sometimes we have to remember that they don't want to wear socks in the winter. And, there's some things that children are going to resist, but it's our responsibility as parents and caregivers to do what we think is right for them and do what they need. Okay, so we're not talking about forcing, holding down screaming children. That's like a different level, but it might not be their favorite thing. And then especially in the beginning, it's like, what is this? What are you doing to my ears? So a tip for putting it in is definitely to put the mold in first and then swing the hearing aid up to the back. And when you put the mold in, you might want to use 2 hands and have one hand holding the ear up and back and the other hand holding the mold and putting it in. So, it's going to take a couple times of practice before it gets much easier, and then you could just do it in a second. Once you learn the curve of their ear, it usually kind of goes like towards their nose in the beginning. That's like the natural curve of the ear canal, is to go forward and then in, and not just straight in. So once you have it in your child's ear, make sure that it looks snug, that nothing's sticking out. There's all the different crevices, like right in here and right in the back. And that the hearing aid on top is sitting comfortably. You might have a headband or a hat or some kind of clip. So just make sure that all these things are in place. And the next thing I recommend is sing a song. So this could be, when you're thinking about that you can also put together, just like we talked about putting together the routine so that it just goes together. Change the diaper, put in the hearing aids, or brush the teeth, put in the hearing aids. Another thing that could be associated with putting the hearing aids in is that put in the hearing aids and you get an automatic reward of mama's voice singing a song, You Are My Sunshine, or something really sweet, and just that can become a daily morning welcome. Good morning, a really sweet good morning song, or even just saying their name. Put in the hearing aids and say their name. Sarah, 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 good morning, Sarah. And then it goes together with, I get these hearing aids and it's like, what's all this sound? And it's a little like weird in my ear, but also I get to hear mama's voice, or I get to hear my dad sing me a song, or whoever it is caring for this child, that they can associate the hearing aid also with an immediately positive experience. You're not going to want to put the hearing aid in and then slam doors and turn on the blender or something, right? So you want to do it in a quiet and calm environment as much as possible, because we all know mornings are very, very hectic and there's a lot going on. But if, even just for the first 5 seconds of the hearing aids being put in, if that's a positive experience, then that can carry on over into the rest of the listening hours throughout the day. All right, so after you've got the hearing aid in throughout the day, you've had a long and happy day with lots of activities, probably some tantrums and meltdowns, #real life. I'm a mom of 3 kids, so we all go through this. It's really a long day when you're responsible for the care and well-being of another human, let alone multiple little humans. So we have to bathe them and feed them and clothe them, and obviously also care for their emotional well-being and discipline them and teach them. And there's a lot that goes into parenting. So when you put on top of it this new thing, or something that's already part of your life for some time, hearing aids, they need to be attended to. It's actually an additional requirement for everyone in the family. So I think it just, let's take a minute to acknowledge, like, you guys are all superheroes. You are amazing. And just on the bottom of this little printout, I have a reminder for you. You are the best advocate for your kid. The best. Yeah, mom knows best, dad knows best, parents' intuition, caregivers, grandma, whoever you are amazing for this kid. You are their whole life. You're everything. There can be fabulous and wonderful professionals in your life, audiologist, speech pathologist, teacher, all these different people who really, really care and love and pour all of their efforts into helping and bringing your child success. But at the end of the day, we all know it's on you, mom, dad, and we really have to take that on, and say, I'm doing my best and I'm doing a lot and I'm really important, so like that's a really nice feeling. Anyway, I think it's important to acknowledge our roles as parents. So great job. You're doing great. Let's talk a little bit about the evening. So at the end of the day, we are going to also try to connect this with another activity. So is it bath time? That makes sense, because we don't want the hearing aid to get wet. It's definitely not going in the bath. So maybe that's what it is. We're ready to go in the bath, got a get undressed to get in the bath. Also, we take off our hearing aids and put them in the case in the same spot every day, right? High up so that kids can't reach them. There's a lot of things that go into this. So you're going to remove the hearing aids and right away just pop open the door to the battery so that way the batteries are not running all night, and that way you're conserving the battery and not wasting battery. So a battery should last, it depends on the size. There's different sizes. It can be 3, 4, 5 days. Something like that, maybe up to a week, but that's a lot. And so if you're having them run all night, then you're going to only get half that time. If it should have been 6 days, you'll get 3 days. What's the point of that? Don't waste batteries. So definitely keep it open and remove the hearing aids, the battery. You don't have to actually remove the battery. The battery can stay in the door, just that the door needs to be open so there isn't contact. Okay, and then you're going to want to wipe down the aid. So wipe down the hearing aid part just with a dry tissue because you don't want any moisture getting in near the microphone. You don't want any moisture getting into the tube, from trying to clean it. So if there's really something that's, a piece of gunk, some dirt or paint or I don't know what kids' leaves, right? Whatever the kid has gotten into that day, it might be in their hearing aids. So just use a dry tissue if possible, a washcloth. And if you do need, you can just dab a little bit of water on a tissue and really get at, a particular spot. You'll also have a little brush that usually comes with the hearing aid, so you can use that. And you are going to want to clean the tubing every so often, especially if you see that there's an accumulation of wax or if there's moisture building up in the tube. And you can do that by separating the tubing, the mold and the tube from the hearing aid. And then you can snake through the tube a kind of a dental floss stick. So that's one idea. Or you can use the little blower that should have come with your kit as well to just dislodge anything out of there, or even the moisture you can get out that way. And if humidity is a problem, or if you're in a very warm climate, or if your child is sweating a lot, if it's the summertime and they're very, very active, so there might be a lot of moisture building up in the hearing aids and in the mold. So it might be a good idea at night to put it into a drying chamber. And if you have one of those, then that's a good idea to also put together, that's where the hearing aids live every night. They live in the drying chamber. That way they're always in the same place. You wake up in the morning, they're there. So establishing morning and evening routines are really important and a wonderful way to make the hearing aid experience more positive for everyone. Because we all know the where's the shoes scramble of the morning is one of those things that we can all relate to. Like, you found one shoe, where's the other one? It's not under the couch, it's not in their room, it's not by the door. Where in the world did we put this other shoe? And then it ends up in the laundry basket. It's like, how did this happen? Okay, so we're talking here about something that's much more meaningful, valuable, expensive, but also really important for your child's auditory access in the world and auditory input, and giving them many hours of listening throughout the day. So we really want to keep a close eye on the hearing aids, have clear routines in place that everyone can be aware of. And I think that's part of why I think the checklist is so valuable and why I created it, is because it puts everyone on the same page. So every caregiver in the home, if there's 2 parents in the home, they can have a communication for how this goes, and it's not always one person's responsibility or the other person. It's kind of whoever's doing the nighttime or morning time routine can know what needs to be done for babysitters, for grandparents, for whoever else is coming into the home, or even to a possibility is to send this in as a checklist for school. If your child does not wear the hearing aids to school, but then uses hearing aids when they're in school, then you can send this to the teacher, and just, you can change morning and then before going back on the bus, right? So this can be another way to use this. A couple of other tips that are on here are about how often you need new molds. And in the beginning, when you have an infant or a little baby, it's going to be more often because they're growing real quick. Maybe every 3 months or 4 months, they'll need new molds. And as they grow, maybe every 6 months or so for children. And we say just around the time that they need new shoes and they're growing out of their shoes, that should be, the time that you'll need new molds. And you'll know because it's not going to fit right, it's not going to be so snug, and there's going to be feedback and squealing and all that noise. So that's how you know you'll need new molds. I have on here that molds can be washed with soap and water. The molds, not the hearing aid. Again, we do not want to get hearing aids wet. So yeah, you can wash the molds with soap and water, and then just let them fully dry out. So if you are going to do that, make sure to do it at night so they have all overnight to dry. And if not, if you really must clean them right now, then you might want to use that blower to really get all the moisture out of the tube as much as you can. Do not get the hearing aids wet. I mean, it bears repeating because it's really, really important. And sometimes people ask me about, like, in the rain. If you're out in the rain, it starts to drizzle, then, at what point is the drizzle enough of a rain that you want to take the hearing aids off? Well, an easy thing to think about is if you're on your phone, right? If you were on your phone and it started drizzling and there were just a couple drops, you might continue to look on your phone. At what point would you put your phone away, right? At the point that you would put your phone away is pretty much the same time where you would maybe want to take the hearing aids off or wear a hat, put your hood up, your child's hood up, or wear a hat, or if they're in the stroller, definitely put the cover on. And at this point, you would want to do that anyway to protect them from the rain. And you might just want to go inside. But that's kind of a good rule of thumb. If you're stuck somewhere, if it's enough that you would put away other electronics, then it might be a good idea to put the hearing aids away or at least have them covered in some way. And about batteries. Let's talk a little bit about batteries. I said there's different sizes. You might have size 13, which are a little bit the taller ones, or 675, which are the widest ones. So there's different sizes. Make sure that you know which size your child has and that you know the color, because each of those numbers has a corresponding color. That way you're always buying the right ones. They're usually cheapest when you buy a bunch of them. So like a big pack on Amazon, you might be able to get them through your audiologist or through the hospital or clinic that you're working with. So batteries are extremely, extremely dangerous for children and pets if they are swallowed. Very, very, very dangerous. So we never, ever, ever want children to get hands on them. And when you're ready to dispose of them, have them, in a very high up place in a little container, a Ziploc bag or a jar or whatever it is you're going to, put a label and say dead batteries, and always just put them in there. Deposit dead batteries over there. Even if you put them in a regular trash, you don't know who's getting into the trash knocks over, pets, little kids, you know what I'm saying. So really, really, really be careful with dead batteries to have them out of reach of children and pets. And lastly, about batteries, you might want to keep a lot of spare batteries around in your purse, in your diaper bag, in the car, and at grandma's house, or whoever is the caregiver, additional caregivers in your life, that it's just a good idea to have spare batteries, again, in a safe, high up, children can't reach it place. You can also, again, with the thing where you're matching things, so you can remember. It's a memory aid to put one thing together with another thing. So my idea is to put hearing aid batteries with medications, because you definitely have medications high up and out of reach. So you could do the same with hearing aid batteries. I hope this was helpful to you. Feel free to go and grab your guide over at the website, All About Audiology. If you haven't listened to the podcast, come on over. I'd love for you to have a listen and be part of our community, allaboutaudiology.com. And if you know of another mom, dad, teacher, speech therapist, audiologist, anyone in your life who you think might want to know about this and have it available to them, then feel free to share them the link. And it's really wonderful. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Dr. Lilach Saperstein, and I'll see you next time. Bye.